Hello viewers, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to learn another vertical painting based on this particular subject, which is basically an Indian rural landscape with cows grazing in dusk sunlight. So when the sun is setting down, it has a nice warm feeling to it and the atmosphere is brilliant. So we will be starting this painting with a lot of yellow, and we will do the house and the pasture field first, and then we will proceed to the sky. One thing we have to note here is that we have to preserve the whiteness of the cows. We don't want them to get muddy. So be very careful, put in the colors in the respective area. So I'm starting with yellow ochre and chrome yellow, a very subtle mixture. I am adding in a bit of orange also to give it a bit of warmth. As you can see, I am not painting in the area of the calf. Similarly, I will not paint the other cows as well. I will leave that as white and later on I will complete it. I am taking out unnecessary excess amount of color from the calf. I want it to have a crisp edge. Now we will mix in some yellow color, some green color. So this is green gold color from Daniel Smith, which is a brilliant, vibrant, warm green color. So when I say warm green, it has a lot of orangey tint to it. It is green mixed with orange, you can say, and a lot of yellow. So now we are working on the pasture field where the cows are grazing. I am leaving the legs of the cows carefully. I am not trying to make the legs of the cows green. Avoid doing that. Or else you can use masking fluid also for the same thing. If you want to use masking fluid also, that is okay. If you use masking fluid, it will be just one stroke and it will be a lot easier to manage, but here I haven't used it. Take your time, and here we have to create in a lot of texture and a lot of color mixtures also. So we don't want to we don't want to have a feel that it is a flat surface. It is basically not a flat surface, so we'll have to make it as textured and rough as possible. Now I am working on the tree trunks. If you see the corner of the tree trunks, the left side of the tree trunk is illuminated because of the brilliant sunlight that is falling. The sky is basically a very cloudy sky. It has lot of clouds, and so the sky is more or less whitish in the entirety. A little bit of blue is there, but it has more of whiteness to it. So wherever we are having a light being reflected from the tree trunks, I have already put in a lot of yellow and orange over there. So what will happen is, when I put in the dark shade on the right hand side of the tree trunk, it will look as if it is a 3D and it is reflecting light from the left hand side. Now I am mixing dark green color. So I am mixing green with a bit of burnt sienna, and that gives in the dark tone of the tree trunk. So wherever there are dark tones, I am just looking at the reference and putting the dark tones as it is. So far I am using a very thick mop brush because it can hold a lot of water and lot of color. I prefer using a big thick brush which has a good point for the smaller little details as well. I seldom use a small brush. You will see at the end I use a small brush and try to, when I'm trying to actually do the fine little details, but most of the things would be done by using this single brush. Trying to create in a little bit of twigs and branches, adding in small amount of orange to give it a nice glow, warm glow to it. The same treatment to all the three trees. So if you notice, the trees have leaves which are very small in size, and it looks as if the tree leaves are scattered, like it is not like big leaves and it is holding on a lot of light. You can literally see that it is like a spray, like a mist. So we will be doing that that kind of technique also here. You would see how I am approaching this landscape. Now we are working on the side of the house which is away from sunlight, so it will have a nice crisp shadow to it. In the picture also it is crystal clear how beautiful the shadow looks like. It is a very dark brown kind of color, so I am using orange mixed with a bit of ultramarine blue for this color. More of orange, less of blue, but a little concentrated. Now again I am mixing some green for the pasture field. If you see, the field is more or less green only, so barring the topmost section of the pasture field, the lower portion of the pasture field is more or less dark. So I have mixed in a good batch of dark color, wherein I have used sap green and a bit of orange and a bit of ultramarine blue together. So whenever we are using the dark colors, it's a mixture of the warm and the cool colors. So green is a cool color mixed with orange, which is a warm color, mixed with a bit of blue, which is again a cool color. So together they form a nice dark green color, which has a bit of warmth in it also because of the orange that has been added. So basically whenever we have a green color surface but still sunlight is falling on it, so it adds in the warmth and adds in the nice warm color to it. So that has to be preserved, and that the painting should reflect that color. So now the edge section of the painting, wherein the dark is merging to the lighter one, so there we will be using a transition or a mid-tone kind of color, which is a sap which is kind of sap green mixed with yellow color, chrome yellow or gamboge hue, anything. And I am just dragging in the color, so I am just trying to create a nice gradient from top to bottom. So the top portion of the pasture field will be the lightest, more or less it will be yellowish. Why? Because sunlight is falling on it. At the areas where the sunlight is not falling will be darker, which is the lower portions. So that is the kind of effect I am trying to create. So slowly you will see a lot of textures are getting built. So previously it was just a patch of yellow color. Now we are adding in a lot of textures. If you would see a lot of water percolation is happening. And then I have used water droplets also to create a kind of misty effect, basically disintegrated the color to form textures. Now we are working on the thatched roof of this little hut, which is made up of straw and has a nice deep brown color to it. Even though it has a deep brown color, you would see that certain sections of the roof itself are reflecting light and certain sections are having a bit of shadow. We'll try to emulate that. So the trunks, if you would see, the tree trunks are looking three-dimensional. The reason is because we have created the effect of light falling on one portion and the shadow getting casted on the opposite section. I'm using a hairdryer to dry things faster. So this kind of painting you can do either on 100% cotton paper or on a cellulose paper. Here I am using a Bao Hong hot pressed paper. It's a very smooth surface paper, but this kind of painting can go well on cold pressed as well as hot pressed or rough paper. I'm using a knife to scrape out a few branches of color so that it looks or resembles the thatched roof, the haze and everything. Now I'm mixing a bit of purple and burnt sienna together. So as I mentioned, this particular thatched roof in itself is having areas which are illuminated and areas which have shadows. The shadow is because of the tree which is on top of the hut. So that shadow is being casted on the thatched roof. So we have to emulate that. Now there is a nice crisp shadow which is falling on the hut's body, like the bricks of the hut or the walls of the hut. That is because of the trunk of the tree. So we will do that also. Now we are painting that shadow portion. That is basically the shadow of the second tree or the middle tree falling on the hut. And then we will be creating some textures and some some realistic color effects on the rough walls, so that it looks very rough and it looks very realistic. To be honest, this is not a realistic per se painting. This is a kind of semi-realistic to impressionist, in between of them. So to be honest, realistic paintings are great, but there is some character in the impressionist painting which I love. So we have to do it to a point where it doesn't start resembling like a photograph. We have to just stop there so that it looks and feels really amazing, that we have done a painting which is very beautiful, but yet it doesn't look exactly like a photograph. So hope I'm clear what I want to say, that your painting should have its own character. It should look like a painting. It should convey the message. It should make somebody feel that work has been done and it has been done brilliantly. Yet it should not be just like a photograph, or it should not reflect as if you have copied something and just put it on there. So now you see, because of the little bit of shadows whatever we have casted, the painting looks so realistic. The hut is just coming to life nicely. And if you see, we are yet to do a lot of work on the sky and the leaves area, leaves of the trees and all, but still you would get a feel of a 3D effect on the hut just because of the little shadows that we have put. Now we are trying to add in more depth to the hut by creating the darks and the lows. So the dark areas, when we are making the areas more dark, so it is giving more depth to it. So for the dark colors, I am using purple mixed with burnt sienna or a little bit of ultramarine blue mixed with orange color for the dark colors, and I am putting it on, I mean, layer after layer. I am not just putting in one layer and then adding and then finishing it. Reason is, if I add just one single patch of color, it looks very flat. Nothing in this world is that flat. So there are always a layered approach in nature, and that if we are emulating that, or if you are trying to incorporate that, it looks more realistic. So never go for one patch of dark color or one patch of light color. Always, if you want to create a dark color, then build it slowly, layer by layer, so that it feels as if there is a depth in it. That is my suggestion. Now I think the hut is more or less sorted over here, and we'll be using a heat air gun to just dry it off. Always have a heat air gun handy with you and a few tissue papers, because we don't know when we will be needing it. Color might run over to some unwanted places, or we need to dry some things very quickly because some damage has happened. I'm making the shadows little bit more darker because I need it to be more crisper also. It should be crisp. So we are done with the hut. Now we will move to the other portion of this painting, which is making the sky. So for making the sky, what I have done is I have actually flipped the entire painting upside down, and I am still showing you how it looks when I am seeing it from the correct angle. So I am wetting the paper. The rest of the portion which is empty, because the tree trunks are done, the hut is done, the foreground, which is the grass pastures, is done. Now it is time to paint the sky. So I am starting with a very light mixture of a pale white and grey color mixed with it. So because the sky has clouds in it and majority portion is cloud, so we will start with a pale mixture of grey, and then we will go in with the blues. First, let's wet the paper properly, and then we'll go ahead with our blue, which is the French ultramarine blue. So I have taken a good quantity of French ultramarine blue, and I am starting with the spread from one corner, the corner which has good amount of blue in it, from that portion, because the rest of the paper doesn't have that much amount of blue. So The beauty of watercolor is everything else the water does. So you don't have to actually use your brush strokes, because water in itself will do its magic. So after the blue, I have added a bit of burnt sienna to the French ultramarine blue, and then I have put it on the rest of the paper. I am using a bit of white also to have that nice cloudiness in the sky. You can do it without the white also, but white just adds in a bit of opacity, and we want the sky to be a little opaque and a little more detailed. I am leaving in the section of the cow, so the body of the cow is basically eliminated while I am painting it, and I am using a spray bottle to keep the freshness of the paint alive, intact. I don't want the paint to dry up in the middle, because it will otherwise create a blotch or a patch of color. So it should have a nice smooth sky, which a cloudy sky which is merging with the blue section of the sky. So I'm doing that by leaving the section of the body of the cow as white, not disturbing that, and then using gravity, everything else water is going to do. So just put in the color and just move the paper around to make sure that it flows and spreads beautifully and creates a nice feel to it. Once this is done, we will move to the next part of the painting, which is painting the trees and painting the foliage. But before that, just make sure the sky is perfect. If you are not happy, just put in a drop of white here and there. Make sure it is done when the paper is super wet. And then we will be working on the trees once this is done. So now let's work on the tree. There are 3 trees. One is in the middle, one is very near to us, and one is slightly farther than us. And if you see, the tree has a nice dark color to it, and then there are some leaves which are protruding out and they are catching the sunlight beautifully. They are basically the new leaves. They are catching the sunlight beautifully, and so they are looking very fresh and alive. So first I am working on the darker ones. Why I am working on the darker one is because the color of the fresh leaves, that we will have to make it in a opaque format. We cannot do it in the transparent format. So I will have to use very thick quality of paint to do that. So what I am doing is, first of all, I am putting a towel. Pardon me for this dirty towel. This is the towel which I use to dab my color. But this towel I am today using to hide the areas which I don't want to be cluttered with paint, with unnecessary paint. And now I am just splattering the dark colors on the surface of the wet sky. See, I am hiding the places where I don't want the color to go, and then splattering the dark colors. I'm using a toothbrush now. I'm using a toothbrush. Yeah, splatter, 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 splatter. So this is the background of the leaves of the trees. So this portion will basically be completed in a short period of time, adding in a bit of purple and a bit of sepia and sap green all together, and then creating blotches of color. You might be thinking that the entire sky is gone, it is not, nothing is visible now, but hold on for some time. I would show you how beautiful it will look at the end. Now we will be taking a bit of white mixed with lemon yellow. So this is to create the fresh leaves which are on the top, which are basically on the foreground of the tree. Like there are certain sections which are behind, which are not catching the sunlight. There are certain sections which are catching the sunlight and then casting the shadows. So those leaves, the fresh ones, can be made using just a toothbrush and a good consistency of color. Just take them and spray it using your fingers. You should just know where to use what, and everything else will fall in place. Now see how the composition is turning up. The paint is still wet, it is not yet dried. So I am using this hair dryer vigorously, as I don't want the yellow, the lemon yellow, to mix with the dark and to create a kind of smudgy effect. I don't want that. So here I have to work in a bit quickly. I am taking out or lifting out some colors because I want the sky to be visible through the leaves at some places, not all places but at some places. So I'm just picking up colors and then again I am drying them. Once it dries, it looks like this. Now it is a task to create in the twigs and the small branches and add in the extra detail that would make it look like a great painting. So let's work on the smaller, finer details. As I said, this is not a realistic painting, but this is not also a impressionist painting. So it's like in between the two, wherein we are adding the details but we are not trying to make it look like a photograph. So we are just taking a step back before it turns out to be really realistic. So that's why we are adding in so much of detail. So now we are making the tree branches and the tree trunk to really stand out by adding in the third darker color. This dark color is made by using a bit of Payne's grey and burnt sienna. Take your time and be creative. Don't make the branches look very odd. Try to make it flowy and beautiful and artistic. It is basically a brilliant art to make a tree speak for itself. Not everybody can make a beautiful tree. So work on it. Take your time. Do it nicely. A tree can be of any shape, any size. The branches can go in any direction, but you have to make it in a way that it looks super brilliant, pleasing to the eyes. Don't make a branch which is just straight like 90-degree angle, not like that. Try to make it twisted, try to make it complicated, try to make sure the strokes are from bottom up. Don't make the strokes up to down, because the branches, they tend to become thinner when they go up. They are thicker near the trunk and they are thinner on the edges. Use a mixture of white and lemon yellow color to highlight the branches on the sides where it is reflecting the sunlight. Work on all the three trees together and bring in the details. I am working on the second tree, the middle one. So if you notice the middle one, the trunk is very dark on most of the portion. On the left hand side, it still illuminates and reflects sunlight. So we will do that. Yeah, so bring a few branches downwards. Most of the branches would be facing upwards. Bring a few of them downwards. Bring the twigs upwards and downwards. Try to create a play of light and shadows, even in the interior portion also, wherever you think that people would not be able to see. Try to put in a highlight, a mid-tone and a dark tone, so that would make the tree a beautifully pleasing and nice to look at. Put in the leaves on top of the trunk. So there, if you see in the reference pic, so there are leaves which are just in front of the little hut. So there is a brilliant dark at the background, and the leaves are just protruding out, and they are just glowing out due to the sunlight. So that is creating a nice contrast. And so we will be putting in a mixture of white and lemon yellow and a little bit of lime green for the same thing. So we also want to create the same effect. So it is possible also to do masking fluid work in the beginning, and to cover these places with masking fluid, and then work on the hut, and later on remove the masking fluid and put some lime green over there. That is also possible, but as I did not do that earlier, so I am using a mixture of white and lime green and a bit of yellow. So I am using a very thick consistency of color, because watercolor is a transparent medium. So I am using more color, less water, to create in areas of highlight where I am just putting in few dots of colors using my rigger brush. This is a Daler Brownies rigger brush, brilliant brush, 230 rupees only, but does the purpose of a very costly rigger brush. So I would highly recommend you this brush, using this brush. Now add in a few more details. So always remember, whenever you are adding these lemon yellow and white small dots, make sure you have a good dark background so that this color stands out. So what I am doing now is adding in a bit of more darkness so that it pops out. Because of a lot of water earlier, what has happened is the darkness is slightly lost when the water evaporates and the color dries up, so it becomes slightly less darker. So I am adding in a little bit of more darkness to it. So I am taking in sap green mixed with a little bit of orange and blue color and dabbing in with my brush. So what I have done is I am taking the brush, dabbing it in a piece of cloth, creating a rough surface on the edge of the brush and then putting it on the surface of the paper. So without this darkness, the yellow color won't pop out. So that has to be done. Take your time. Trust me, putting in this much amount of time will finally give you satisfaction when you see the result of the work. You would be wondering why I am doing this again and again. I am doing this because the level of contrast I wanted to achieve, I couldn't achieve. So that's why I am again adding in slight amount of darkness so that the yellow can pop out. So the fresh leaves and the leaves which are catching sunlight, those can literally look 3D. So if you see in the tree, the top of the tree is always lighter. The bottom of the tree where the leaves are the densest, that portion will be the darkest. So I am doing the same thing. And then there are certain leaves and certain branches which will be coming out of the tree and they are scattered here and there. So those portions will also be darker. So that is what I am doing. Now again I am taking the lime green and white mixed with white. I'm using a lot of white in this painting, by the way. So people who are purist and think that white should not be used in watercolor, I use it to my need, because the companies are providing it. It is provided because for a reason. Don't shy away from using it. But if it is avoidable, you can avoid it. But if you want to use it and give it a nice feel to the painting, then go ahead. There is no problem. There is no such rule. The rule is the painting should look brilliant no matter what color you are using and how many times you are mixing it. Now I am using a brush which I have abused it, which means I have just literally thatched it on a hard surface and made the brush look like a broomstick, and then I am putting it on the paint. Paint is also very thick, and then I am dabbing it on the surface of the painting. See? So the brush is not hitting the surface properly. It is hitting at certain points, and those points are creating some small dots on top of the dark green surface that we painted just before this. Now if you see, slowly the tree is looking very realistic and pleasant to eyes. So I am not dabbing this brush into water. I am not putting water to it. I am just using a dry brush, but little bit of water in the paint, whatever is there. We are mixing a bit of dark color again for certain sections on the right hand side. There also we would need the interplay of light and dark. So light color in front of a light color background again doesn't make sense. So it has to be the interplay of light and dark. Now whatever leaves are there, they will be also casting a shadow on the tree trunk. Can you see that? So that feel also gives a nice 3D look to the painting. So wherever you feel that there is a bunch of leaves and it will be casting a shadow, put a shadow there. Use a dark color, put a little dab of color so that it looks brilliant, beautiful. Now I am using the rigger brush to add in the fine little branches once again for one last time. And viewers, in this painting I have somehow not recorded how I painted the calf and the two cows over there. Basically the painting looks like this when it gets finished. You can see the brilliant detail of the trees and the cloudy sky in the background. The calf and the cows can be painted very easily if you have a bit of skill set. And guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this and you learned a lot. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do it. And thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time. Bye bye.